What's up, y'all? This is a different video than I normally do because this is important to talk about and spread awareness. The internet, as we know, will change to something worse. This first started off with payment processors such as Visa and MasterCard forcing Steam and another website, which I will not name, forcing them to remove games. You might be asking, why payment processors went after Steam and that other website? Well, it's because of a group called Collective Shout that called in MasterCard and Visa and pressured them, which in turn pressured Steam and that other website to remove those spicy games. Now, you're wondering, why is this important if it's just those weird games that got removed? That's because this can be pushed further and have other games they deem to violate any sort of guidelines or anything that they believe should not be on these gaming platforms. So like for example, this hypothetical example, GTA. They could say that GTA is way too violent to be on these public gaming platforms to be consumed. So the payment processors could go ahead and tell Steam, Xbox, or any of these other gaming platforms to remove GTA. That's an example, a hypothetical of how this could be pushed further. These are payment processors that overstepped their boundaries and in a way act like publishers and telling people how they should spend their hard-earned money, basically limiting adults on what they can and can't buy. Adults own credit cards and debit cards. They are adults and they are aware and hold responsibility for whatever they decide to buy. It should not be up to the payment processors on what the adults should do with their money. That was the beginning for censorship, but people are spreading awareness and fighting back against those payment processors. Now, the UK, the United Kingdom, passed a law which is called Online Safety Act. What this law does is internet users from the UK must verify their age by either scanning their face, showing government ID such as driver's license, or passport, and etc. so they could use the internet. This completely destroys anonymity because not only the government now knows what you are doing and what kind of posts you are making, but these companies, these corporations know who you are. If they ever get hacked or breached, well, that is your ID on the internet for bad actors to impersonate you or do other illegal activities. They put this law under the guise of protecting the children, but it is far from that. They even made a police force to watch over what people say or post on the internet. Since a person uses their government ID to verify that they are not a minor, if that individual says they disagree with the government or criticize them in any way, then that very same government will be able to find that person and silence them. They'll be able to push a narrative that they like and silence those that doesn't align with the government's narrative. Now, before I continue this any further, I want to explain how this would affect people globally around the world. I live in the United States. The UK government is trying to push X, aka Twitter, and Rumble to follow their laws even though they're not from the UK. Websites such as Spotify have already complied, and even YouTube is rolling out their own age ID verification system by using AI to try to guess if you are a minor or adult. If YouTube deems that you are a minor, then it'll restrict you from commenting, liking, and control what kind of content you watch. All you can really do is watch certain kinds of videos that YouTube, a company, deems it's okay for a minor to watch. Now, to tell YouTube that you are not a minor, well, you gotta go ahead and show that government ID or that biometric data by showing your face. Even Newgrounds are setting up their own verification systems. Other websites are already making their own ID age verification to try to comply with the UK's Online Safety Act. What makes this even worse is that the United States, the country I live in, is trying to pass a law that is very similar to the UK's Online Safety Act. This one is called the Screen Act. I read through the bill and I will explain to my understanding of what this Screen Act bill does. It'll make it so that companies will have to put in age verification systems. That means having to show your government ID or how YouTube is doing it using AI to try to figure out if the user is a minor or an adult. This, much like the Online Safety Act, will destroy anonymity and have censorship. Now, let me ask all of you this question. Do you trust these companies, these corporations, with your personal information, your driver's license, or passport, or your very own face, basically your biometric data? Because I do not. I like to be anonymous. I don't even say what my exact age is in my streams. I only keep it somewhat vague and say I'm in my 20s. That is because it's my personal information, much like driver's license and etc. That isn't even the only bill they're trying to pass. There are two other ones in the United States called Kids Online Safety Act. These are a bit different to the Screen Act and UK's Online Safety Act. However, they still play into censorship. How? The Kids Online Safety Act plays into censorship somewhat, having systems in place such as operating system level age verification system. Yes, setting up an age verification system. Other countries are putting into the age ID verification system into place, like Australia, for example. I'll play the clip now.
Thank you. And I thank Senator Babette for this motion, which One Nation supports. In the recent election, One Nation campaigned against government overreach. The Internet Search Engine Services Online Safety Code for Class 1A and 1B material is a textbook case of government overreach. The e-Safety Commissar rejected the original code from the search industry, which was based on their knowledge of what was technically achievable. Instead, her office produced their own mandatory code with stronger provisions, which are seriously flawed. The code is designed to regulate the search industry to stop children accessing harmful material, including online pornography and material showing high impact, violence or self-harm. That's a worthy cause, yet with dangerous implications. To achieve this, every search engine must include robust age verification. In practice, this brings search engines and similar sites under the purview of the Identity Verification Services Act and the Social Media Minimum Age Bill. Legislation that was passed for social media and is now being extended to internet search without further reference to Parliament or any justification for doing so. Google or Bing search, as well as sites like TinEye, stock photo sites, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble and bizarrely Google Maps and Apple Maps will now require proof of age for every user. A trial of age verification software last year actually failed. It wasn't possible to tell age accurately. It can detect that someone is a child, yet not whether they are 15 or 16, making the technology pointless. The only way to establish age is with biometric data, a face scan with photo ID. As I've already spoken about, age verification for holding an account does not work without continuous facial scanning to ensure the person who signed into the browser is still the person using it. If the search engine detects a face it does not recognise, again through continuous scanning, search engines must show only child-friendly material.
Combining all of this together, this seems like a coordinated effort to sanction and control the internet, silencing opposing views. If the US passes the Screen Act, which is the closest one to being like the UK's Online Safety Act, then there is a chance that the US could do something similar to what the UK is doing. The internet, we know, is being attacked by censorship. I'm making this video to spread awareness and keep the discussion going. Trying to prevent the internet from being censored and these governments using a Trojan horse such as Protect the Kids bills. Once these kind of bills or acts gets passed, I don't think we'll ever get this internet back. So share this video or any other videos talking about the issue. All of my sources will be in the description so you could read them and be knowledgeable on what is going on around the world. Thanks for watching, and next Saturday will be the return to my usual content. Anyways, peace.